oh yeah, we'll come into your city, we'll bring 250 jobs into your city, but we're going to need to have a tax exemption for the next 5 to 10 years.
Free Talk Live.
During the halftime show, the story from BizPackReview.com says that proud flag-loving patriots who hate seeing the American flag disrespected may have no other option but to tune out of the upcoming Super Bowl halftime show. The show's been mired in controversy because of a concerted effort by radical far-left activists to stop any artist from performing at the event. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but like the people who contracted the artists who agreed to do this event, they were targeted. Kind of like how those activist groups will target talk show hosts that they don't like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they should be targeted. Anybody participating in this welfare nonsense should be targeted because they're wasting our tax dollars buying stadiums. There were 5 Air Force jets flying over this. I didn't mean to watch it. We were in a bar. It was on TV. You couldn't look away from the miraculous waste of money going on that they have to fly these jets over the frigging thing. What do those things cost? $1 million just to get them off the ground once?
The gas isn't cheap.
So that's $5-6 million right there. So people could see planes fly.
So they could see an ostentatious display of patriotism.
Yeah.
Right?
So is everyone in the stadium complicit to that?
Yeah. Well, if you're participating, I mean, are you complicit? I don't know. Is it that
if I bought a ticket,
victim blaming because most of them don't really benefit from it, but
they just want to go see a show. I mean, do you have to consider the business arrangements of the place, the venue at which you're going to see a show, just because you want to go see a show?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know.
Or any place you shop or do business? I think
a boycott or or protesting of the Super Bowl would have been a great response to the money wasted on the stadium.
Yeah, that much is definitely true. I mean, it is a lot of money that they blew on that stadium. On the other hand, though, I mean, corporate America is rife with corruption. It's rife with sweetheart deals with governments. Whether it's as simple as Walmart or Target getting a property tax exemption for a decade, right? Like, oh yeah, we'll come into your city, we'll bring 250 jobs into your city, but we're going to need to have a tax exemption for the next 5 to 10 years. This is pretty common, right? Where the city governments will cut these big corporations a break in order to locate within certain city limits. And so, I mean, do I have to consider that before I walk through the doors of a Walmart to go buy some toothpaste?
Huh. Well, I would certainly consider that before reporting a shoplifter at Walmart. Walmart isn't my friend. If you steal from Walmart, I don't care. If you steal from any corporation,
I care if you do. And here's why. Because, well, first of all, stealing's bad. But secondly, it also raises your prices. So whenever theft happens, they socialize the losses by raising prices as necessary to cover them.
Yeah,
so all of the people in the store who are buying things essentially pay whatever the costs are of the loss control, of all the the cameras and everything they need to do to try to reduce the number of thefts. But if they lose product, and they do, it's called shrink in the retail business.
They suffer about 3% shrink each year, is my understanding. Which it's not bad.
Well,
as things go.
I mean, most people would like to see lower prices, and if people weren't stealing, then prices would be lower as a result of that.
Probably true.
So one area that I struggle with when it comes to like corporations getting tax breaks is I have trouble blaming them for that activity, right?
Sure.
Don't we all want to avoid paying taxes as much as possible?
Yeah,
so when a corporation does it to get a sweetheart deal, if they're getting a tax break, and let's avoid the subsidies that come along with that, why do we as a culture, I guess, blame them for seeking to maximize their profits and then again pass on the savings to the consumer?
For me, tax breaks aren't really a problem. It's more an issue of corporate welfare, when you're giving them money. Everybody should get 100% tax break.
Sure.
What bothers me is that the people in the club get all the tax breaks, and the people not in Carlin's club get nothing. They get robbed more to pay for it.
Isn't that another case of victim blaming, though?
Is it?
Like I'm getting taxed, therefore Walmart, who is not getting taxed, right, is the aggressor in that instance.
Well,
right.
Walmart is not the. Yeah, it is awkward, really.
It's a little
isn't
awkward.
It's
You can't call him an aggressor for managing to cut a deal with an aggressor, right? So the aggressor is the state, the town or the city
right.
or state government or whoever it is we're dealing with. They're the ones saying you got to pay this, and they've managed to negotiate, right? Like, because you're always negotiating to some extent. They've managed to negotiate that the criminals not rob them for 5 to 10 years and instead just leave them alone. I mean, you got to give them credit for that. Like, if you're mad about it, you're just jealous because you weren't able.
That's
to
all I'm saying.
Negotiate with the criminals.
Yeah, which I am. If some town wants to say, hey, if you move to my town, you'll be exempt from property taxes. Yeah, I'd probably move there.
Right. But so I think you made a good distinction, though, the difference between negotiating a better robbery deal,
sure,
meaning that you aren't robbed as much or as often, versus having that same aggressor negotiating a deal where they rob from others to give to you, to directly give, like in the case with the stadium.
Right.
So that's much what you were saying, Rich, is that's way more objectionable.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
So the show, again, this is the halftime show coming up tonight at the Super Bowl, says here some artists resisted the pressure and signed up for the gig anyway, including the pop rock band Maroon 5 and rappers Big Boi and Travis Scott, among others. But judging by the rhetoric of Maroon 5's lead singer, trouble may still be expected. How so? During an interview this week with Entertainment Tonight, he said the band plans to honor those who believe in the concept of so-called social justice. He said, quote, "They'll be heard. That's all I want to say because I don't want to spoil anything."
That's a loaded term.
Referring to those who'd been complaining about the band's participation in the show. Quote, "And once again, I'd like to think that people know where I stand as a human being after 2 decades of doing this. I'm not a speaker. I'm not a public speaker. I do speak, but it's through the music, my life's work, and what I put out into the universe has been positive and hopefully inspiring." So we'll see. Sounds like he's got something up his sleeve that could be controversial. If you see it happen, because we're not watching the game here, obviously, and you want to call in to let us know, you are welcome to do so.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.